Alright. Jetzt habe ich natürlich keine Hand für meinen Klicker. Wenn selber weiter ist ja nicht so. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Binnig. He's already gone. And yeah, now again, welcome to the Ophase. You might be wondering right now, who are these guys nervously walking in the front? We are Sebastian, Jan, and myself. I'm Josias. We are the head of the Ophase 2025. And we are currently doing our computer science bachelor, actually. But we are not alone. We organized these 3 days together with our amazing team, and you can recognize us on our purple t-shirts and blue lanyards. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask us. And we talked about the Ophase, but what is the Ophase actually? You can see some pictures from past years. The Ophase is 3 days of meeting new people, getting to know the university, and also fun and leisure is also important. And for this, we prepared an excitement plan.
Exactly. We prepared a schedule for you guys with various elements. Each day starts off with a breakfast. I hope most of you already enjoyed a bit of that. We then normally start the day with more informal lectures about studying here, the university, the digital infrastructure, or more common stuff like living in Germany. And then towards the end of the day, there's more recreational activities. Exactly. If anything changes, then you can find it on our website, dnet20/Ophase. Yes, there will also be the link to the stream. We stream most of our lectures, so if you, for some reason, can't come the following days, you could also get it online. If you have any questions during this, you can go to our help desk. They're like in the background helping coordinate this. Yes, anything, if you're lost, if you can't find a room or something, any other questions, you can go there. It's just in terms of the Ophase, so they sadly cannot help you with any things regarding your accommodations or something just for this Ophase. You can find them in our student council room. It's DN20. Some of you maybe passed it already. It's down the big flight of stairs and then on the left. You could also call them. You find the... Is this one? No.
Yes, each of you should have got a name tag down at the T-pool. With your name tag, you should have gotten a lanyard. And the ones of you who have a green lanyard, you allow us to take pictures of you and allow us to maybe public a few pictures of them. And if you had a red lanyard, you don't want to be on the pictures, we will edit you out of the pictures if you are on any picture, so don't worry. If you see a camera, you don't have to hide yourself. Yes. These photos will be uploaded a few weeks after the Ophase, after we edited each picture. Yes. Also, next to your name tag, you should have gotten an O-Inforts within your bags. This O-Inforts is a little booklet with very much information about your study here at TU Darmstadt and also at of Darmstadt itself. Yes, also within your O-Inforts are the contact informations of the help desk. If you have any questions, feel free to call them. Also on the back is your timetable and a map. Yes. The goodie bags, if you don't have gotten anything, you can visit the help desk, like we already said. Also with your name tags, and if you are missing an O-Inforts, maybe you don't have gotten one, Just visit der 20 during the lunch. Yes. Sorry. Yes, and if you have questions, feel free to visit der20.de/questions. It's a tool, you can just write your questions there and we can answer them. And if you don't want to visit this website, you can also ask on Discord. Yes. Good. Then now I'd like to welcome you, Tim Neubacher, for his student advisory talk.
Ich würde das Ding da nehmen.
Ach so, ja.
Check. Ja, gut. Ja. Näher an was? So. Habt ihr Sound? Ja. Ich stell mal hier Dinge weg. Cool. Sehr schön. Welcome. As stated previously before, my name is Tim Neubacher. Tim is fine. I'm one of the oldest members of this department. I did my diploma studies here from 1999 to... Don't talk about that. And then directly after, I started working in the Dean's office. I'm mainly the student advisor for the master's students, but also heading the bachelor's mentoring system, responsible for students with handicaps, and with a team responsible for stays abroad, transfer of credits into the masters, and so on and so forth. So essentially, I do everything they tell me, right? Just a few minor corrections to the talk of Carsten Binnig earlier. Currently, we have 4,500 enrolled students already, including you. And you can't conduct a PhD in Germany. That's probably one of the most hated things I encounter nowadays. It's a doctorate system in Germany. There's a difference. From my personal point of view, the doctorate is way better anyways. And those are funded positions usually. So it's your first step being a researcher rather than the last step of your studies. Anyhow, now let's get back to my own talk. What I will do today, in this talk, I will present a slight overview of the structure of the different study programs, some important information about studying here at the department in the respective programs, some other probably interesting topics as an introduction. You can ask questions during the talk if you want to, also online, I think, right? Later today, I will give a short talk on stays abroad. Tomorrow in the morning, I will present a live demo on how to use this funny tool named Toucan. And I think somewhat in the afternoon, a talk on intercultural differences, which is meant to be a little bit more funny, so just join. A lot of laughter, usually. All right, let's start with the most serious part. So, the overview of the study programs. A bit confusing on the slides of Carsten was the overview of the study programs offered. There's a German-taught informatic program and an English-taught computer science program. There is only an English-taught IT security program. The German-taught IT Sicherheitsprogram has been closed. So, essentially, when it comes down to the master's degrees, informatic, computer science, IT security, autonomous systems and robotics, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. I will provide a short overview of the structure, hopefully mentioning the most important information as well. Then I will tell you something about exam-related topics, some general information, and probably the most important part, how to gather further information. So what I can already promise, almost everything you need to know during your studies can be found somewhere The trick is we're not telling you where. So my probably best tip at the beginning, if you have not already studied a bachelor's here or a different master's program, try to get into the system. Look up the websites, look up the responsible people for different types of questions. Get used to Toucan and the Moodle systems and whatsoever. It takes a bit of time. It's not the easiest system here to Darmstadt promised, yet you will definitely manage it at some point, and then it's a no-brainer, right? But we receive so many emails. Just think about it. 4,500 people enrolled in our department. If everyone just asks one question via email per semester, we're working almost an unbearable amount of time on answering emails. And additionally, students, specifically the freshmen, tend to send emails to the wrong recipients. So therefore, look up who's really responsible and directly get in touch with them. There are most likely functional email addresses as well. So, why starting with an overview of a structure? Well, essentially, we don't have mandatory courses in our master's degrees. So it's up to you which courses you want to follow in each semester, depending on the course offers and so on and so forth. The only thing you really have to keep an eye on is fulfilling the criteria and the structure of your degree. So as an example, for computer science or the informatic program, that's actually not my issue. On the central websites of the Central Student Advisory Service, they do have these short overviews of all the study programs. And they do have the websites in German and English. And the English translation for the informatic master's degree is computer science. And now we offer an informatic and a computer science degree, and I have no idea how they solve that. Because we're trolls, actually. So don't tell anyone. So, as you can see, you have the so-called individual specialization. Why? Because we probably aim for introducing different specializations later on in this given program. And therefore, we had to create that in the Toucan system in the back end in a way that you have to choose a specialization. You can only select courses from these three areas if you beforehand choose your specialization, and there is only one. I will show you a bit more of the fun of Toucan tomorrow. You need to conduct a minimum of 6 credits across all these 3 areas. You need to conduct 6 credits from theory and software hardware each. Those are open areas, catalogs of courses. Every semester, a bunch of courses will be offered in the respective areas. Besides, the other exam-related courses, I will get back to that later, can be conducted in any of the areas. So very individual specialization, if you want to call it that. Then we do have the areas of so-called studienbegleitende Leistung. That's merely a formal distinction. In our department, it's actually also a distinction by type of the courses. So while the first 5 areas include lectures and integrated lectures, you do have seminars, labs, and teaching interns. Practical labs and teaching interns. And as you can see, you need to conduct a minimum of 1 seminar. And the rule is you have to conduct a minimum of 3 credits in this area. And our seminars have either 3 or 4 credits in general. Sometimes causes some issues if you go abroad for a semester and bring back a seminar for 2 ECTS credits. Then you still have to conduct another seminar here. Same for the labs, a minimum of 6. Besides, your decision, whether you want to focus more on seminars and labs or probably on lectures. And then we do have general education in all our degrees by now, 18 to 24 credits. And as you can see, in the German taught Master Informatic program, you need to conduct a minimum of 3 credits from the area Humankind, Society, and Economics. It sounds a bit strange if you translate that to English, to be honest. The departments, 1, law and economics, 2, social sciences, 3, humanities are meant, actually. So at least 3 credits from these 3 departments. And that's essentially it. So, to just wrap it up for this program, the other programs are essentially the same, different named areas, different minima criteria and whatsoever, but essentially the same. So in this set program, 66 to 72 credits from computer science, consisting of the so-called Fachprüfung, that's the formal, the legal-based term. So lectures and integrated lectures. What's an integrated lecture? Essentially a lecture. But we're quite creative in our department, so we introduced this very nice type of course, integrated lecture, where the lecturers can actually just add on random base in every offering semester seminar parts, lab parts, or whatsoever they actually want to offer as well, without changing the course description handbook, which is essentially outdated. Always. The last time it took us more than 40 hours to update the course description handbooks, Modulhandbücher, because we have to do that by hand, in Word. Probably something I should mention. TU actually stands for Theoretical University, and the F and TU Darmstadt for fun. So, 54 to 63 credits in these integrated lectures and lectures areas. As I said, 6 credits each, software, hardware, and theory. Then the seminar, and so on and so forth. There's a specific form called Studienarbeit, which is meant to be something like a mini thesis, right? You can't register for the same in the management system. You don't have to register. In case you're running short by, let's say, at the end, by 1 credit, and you still have a credit left in this area, one could ask the supervisors of the thesis to probably create a little extra question, write something down, and get this extra credit for the same. That's why we introduced this Studienarbeit in our degrees. And some other very rare purposes as well. And then, rather towards the end, the thesis. A question that appears on regular base at least. Which criteria do I need to fulfill to start my thesis? Well, you need to find a supervisor. So essentially, you could start with a thesis. On the other hand, that might not be a good idea. First of all, you have to identify in which group you want to conduct a thesis anyways. Secondly, you have to conduct seminars and labs, and those are meant to prepare the related work section and the hands-on section of a thesis. Plus, getting in touch with potential supervisors a bit easier, because seminars and labs are restricted in number of participants. So a smaller group of students, direct contact to academic staff members, and probably possible to work in a thesis after or with respect to the topic you conducted in a seminar or lab. So the basic recommendation is start with regular lectures and integrated lectures, get used to the systems, start with seminars and labs in the second term, in the second semester. And then, as soon as you identify potential supervisors, search for a thesis and go for the first really cool topic you get offered. But your decision, right? All right, a short glance at the structure of the other programs. As I said, essentially the same, different structure. Only 5 to 6 credits, general education, as well, 1 seminar, 1 lab, for example, different named areas, minima, maxima criteria. That's it. Take the courses, fulfill it, and you're done. Anyhow, another thing that comes up quite often in student advisory is I'm lacking X credits. But there are no courses for X credits, but only X plus N. So what? Go for the courses you're most interested in. If you exceed the necessary credits, but you've taken courses you're motivated for and interested in the topics, it will feel way less workload. And as usually, you will achieve better grades as well. It's not easy to directly reach exactly 120 ECTS credits. So just directly forget the idea. Right? Just go for everything, and if you exceed 1 or 2 of the areas, it's fine. And there's actually in the GET, the general examination terms, applying for all study programs at our university, a rule that if you exceed an elective area, there's a best-of ranking of grades. So that's essentially the only possibility to improve your overall CGPA anyways, right? So no loss, plus every course with the full credits will be listed on your final transcript. So you can show that you did a little bit more. Advertise yourself, if applying for a job. Look how good I am, how motivated, how strange the system at Damshit is, so I was not able to manage to directly get 120 credits. I don't know, whatever you want to tell them. HR people are usually not listening anyways. So, autonomous systems and robotics, German taught program, slightly different. Why are there areas twice on this slide? There was the need to submit an examination plan. So a plan the coordinator had to agree upon before you were actually allowed to take this combination of courses previously. That's a very interdisciplinary study program, consisting of courses from computer science, but also mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. And students with a background from all three different areas, or a mixture of all of them, like mechatronics or computational engineering or something. It was quite easy to run into the wrong direction and create a combination of courses not helping you to apply for a job at all. So the coordinator wanted to see the combination you want to go for and agree upon the same, or advise you to change something. We dropped this requirement because we changed the structure, and there's a mandatory elective area for all these few categories, like basic technologies, plan, act, and sense, and real elective areas. And you need to conduct a minimum of the mandatory elective areas. And this is essentially a subset of all the courses in the elective area. I will show you that tomorrow in the Toucan system, because you really have to make sure that you register in the right way. Right? Because as soon as you register in Toucan in a specific way and take the achievement, regardless whether you fail or pass, it's first of all adjusted to this area. And as the mandatory elective areas are subsets of the elective areas, and you only go for the elective areas, you will extend your studies by at least 1 or 2 semesters. Don't. I'll show that a bit more detail tomorrow. Computer science. As you can see, theory and software hardware are 2 areas included in both programs. Therefore, there's always, as goes for any other area, a mixture of German taught and English taught courses available. Because we have English and German taught programs, we're not distincting our elective areas between undergrad and grad. Because there's, from our personal point of view, not really a difference between a bachelor students in the last year and a master students in the first year. So why distincting, why creating such a fuss and dividing all the courses into undergrad and grad? Unfortunately, the lecturers can change the language of instruction without letting us know, or letting the system know, or even announcing that previously to changing the language of instruction or whatsoever. That's the so-called freedom of teaching and research in Germany. That's a given law. Essentially meaning we almost can't interfere with anything our professors are doing. So the LOI stated at the courses may actually be lying. My suggestion usually is select more courses than you want to follow till the end of the semester. Be there in the first 1 or 2 weeks of lectures, gather more information, exam date, LOI, structure of the course, detailed content, whatever, get in touch with some fellow students in order to clarify some open questions, and then, first decision, drop the first courses. And then have an eye on your progress, and if you're running short of time or whatever, or struggle, drop the next courses. Besides some external rules like visa duration or something, we are a quite nice department. There's the paragraph 63, sentence 4, I think, at the moment, Hess HG, that's federal state law in Germany. University law, federal state law, Hessian university law states, students who can't manage to pass at least 1 achievement for their studies within 2 years can get exmatriculated. The minimum credits we bound to our courses is 3 credits. If you take only 3 credit courses every second year, 1. By numbers, I calculated through once, you can stay enrolled correctly for 63 years. I wouldn't advise the same, yet it's not that big of an issue if you get into the studies and the culture and the system first of all, and focus on that at the beginning of your studies, and then speed up your studying a little later, right? And if whysoever you struggle to conduct courses in one semester or exams or any achievements, illness, family, whatsoever, no issue at all here, right? Probably insurance agencies want to see you speeding up, scholarship, visa issues whatsoever. That's actually the limit of your period of studying. Not our rules, promised. All right. So, computer science, there are 3 different specializations. Same as for the individual specialization in the German taught master's program, you need to select the specialization before you can actually select courses from the same. That's a question I usually get in the first week of lectures a lot. Something went wrong, I can't select any courses. Yes, you can, you have to do it in the right order. I'll show that tomorrow as well. So you can look up the recordings later on. Or ask the Students' Council. A lot. All right, the different specializations. Just a short overview. If you have taken at least one achievement in one of the specializations, so a fail or pass in any of the courses of the specialization, you're first of all bound to the specialization. Yet, in the regulations, it's noted down that you can change the specialization once. As long as you've not taken one of the achievements, so just registered to modules and courses, but not taken any exams or submissions or whatever, it's not counted as chosen. You may still not be able technically to deregister from the specialization and take another one. In that case, you have to get in touch with the examination office and they will repair the same, right? So make sure if you struggle with the selection, probably go for some courses in your chosen specialization. And if you identify an arbitrary sufficient amount of courses you're interested in, probably follow it. If not, directly try to switch to another specialization. If you have questions on that, just drop by in one of my consultation hours. As I started with, looking up the right websites. Forget about the central advisory websites and these colorful, clicky overviews of our study programs. We do have a departmental website. Students, studies, students, study programs. Scroll down to your study program. Select a study program. Scroll down. Regulations. Click on regulations. There's a plan of examination and studies, listing exactly those conditions. Not the nicest version as an overview, but the official one. Plus, the implementation terms as an addendum to the general examination terms. So essentially, in the documents on our website, you will find all required information about your study program. On the central websites, not so much. Sometimes they just miss the information that you have to conduct a seminar, and from time to time a student drops by. I thought I'm done, but I'm missing a seminar. Happy you, 1 semester longer for just 3 credits. So look up the right websites and the right information in due time. It's just on the slide to have it complete, right? All right. So, okay, I introduced the terms Fachprüfung und Studienleistung. Fachprüfung. Well, essentially, as I said, it's a legal base difference. In our departments, also distinguishing the type of courses, yet. So, essentially, a Fachprüfung, 3 attempts. That's it, right? And 1 time for your study program, a so-called supplementary oral exam, mündliche Ergänzungsprüfung, which is part of the 3rd attempt or the 2nd repeat attempt, formally correct. If you run into such an issue like failing an exam, a Fachprüfung, twice, you will be invited to a talk. Guess who's presenting the talk? I will explain the details then later on. As we do have only elective areas in our master's degrees, you can remove one failed subject from each sub-area of the exam-related topics, like Fachprüfung, without any reasons before the third attempt. If you fail a third attempt, including the potential supplementary exam, you will be exmatriculated. And there's no way around. So don't take any unnecessary risks, don't take unnecessary chances. If you run into a critical situation, drop by soon enough in order to get a good advisory, and hopefully we can solve the issue without you being exmatriculated. All right? All right. Yeah, that's a question. All right. The question was, how often are the exams repeated? In our department, in most of the lectures, integrated lectures, there is one exam happening each semester. There are a few exceptions, though, so-called vorlesungsbegleitende Prüfungen. Well, there might be no real English translation for that. If there are more exam parts within the semester directly counting towards the grade of the course, then they don't need to offer a repeat exam in the following semester. There are a few courses, like all of Professor Binnig, for example. Scalable data management systems, scalable data management and advanced data management systems, both are so-called vorlesungsbegleitende Prüfungen. But in general, I'd say probably 5% of all lectures, probably. The question is whether it's possible to improve a grade. No, it's not. As soon as you pass the course, it's fixed. The only way to improve the CGPA then is to take more credits in the same area. Based on the GET, there will be a best of ranking of grades then. But all courses with all credits and grades will be listed on the final transcript. But you can improve your CGPA by that. Okay, let's proceed. If there are any questions online, okay, fair enough. So someone is watching. Perfect. Just the most important part for a computer scientist. Coffee. So in case you want to bribe me. Cigarettes, chocolate, and coffee usually works. Okay, fair enough. We do allow a quite big freedom when it comes down to the individual behavior for our students. So you can, for example, withdraw from an exam registration till 7 or 8 days, 7 days, I think nowadays, or 8 days, I'm not sure, before the exam takes place, on your own, via Tukan. So you have a lot of time to prepare for exams. But of course, you will lose a lot of time if you prepare unnecessarily too long. Your decision. Not really much support. Yay! Ask your fellow students, the experienced ones, or drop by in the student advisory, or whatever, right? That's one of the probably major points you have to focus on at the beginning. You have to get into your own scheme of learning. There is not really much of structure usually, right? You can't pass a course essentially by just providing labs during the semester or exercise sheets or whatever, right? In most of the cases you have lectures, probably some consultation hours, probably some exercise for bonus points or whatever, and then somewhat at the end, one written exam counting 100%. No real structure, it's completely up to you how to prepare for the exams. So just try to get into your individual process as soon as possible so you can improve it over time and manage to finalize degrees successfully in due time. So, all right, the question is there a registration process beforehand with limited period of time? Yes, there is, of course. There is one registration period for the modules and the courses. Short trip to Bologna, Lissabon. Modules and course, before I proceed with the registration period. A module is a container and can consist 1 to n courses. which should all be somewhat related to the overall topic of this container, the module. The exam, or the achievement in general, can be bound either towards the course or the module. In our department, one module, one course, one achievement, right? So we're trying to make it easier for you, somewhat. And you need to register for the module and the course before you can actually be able to register to the exam, right? What I can show you tomorrow is the module and course registration, and probably I can manage the test system of the Toucan backend to show you the registration for exams as well. There are different periods of time to register. So you should register to modules and courses in order to get the information quite soon, possible from the month before the semester starts usually, but there will be minor changes, right? So since March for the summer term, from September on for the winter term, because then the new course schedule of Toucan is out, right? And the course offers are somewhat finalized. And then there appears an exam registration period at some point. In our department, it's quite a long period. I usually recommend to just register everything directly from scratch on as soon as the period starts, because you can deregister later on. On the other hand, if you forget to deregister, it's a failed attempt probably. Self-responsibility, yay. What I usually tended to say to the bachelor's freshmen, there are 3 meta competencies you definitely need in order to graduate successfully here. Self-organizational skills, self-motivational skills, self-reflectiveness. You need to organize everything on your own, essentially. So you need, up to some point, organizational skills. You will most likely struggle at some point, either with some technical issues or some contentious issues or whatsoever. So you need to motivate yourself in a good enough way. And the most important part, if something goes wrong, reflect about the situation and change it accordingly, right? Because if you make the same errors, the same failures over and over again, you will just be exmatriculated at some point or drop out the study program. So these 3 competencies, way more important than any contentious background. You can look up the detailed registration periods on the websites of the examination office, right? This very specific part of our websites, students during the studies. That's the most important part of our websites, not the overview of our groups. That's fancy, but for you at the moment, overview of the study program, examination office, Studienbüro, including all the deadlines, the request forms, for example, if you want to request an oral exam, withdraw later on, how to submit a health certificate if you get ill before an exam, and so on and so forth. The appointments, the consultation hours given for exchange affairs, student advisory, the examination office, and so on and so forth. That's probably the most important part of our websites. Just have an eye on it. It's not that much. Okay. Right, as I said, you can remove one open subject from every area without any reasons. There may be the possibility to do something about a second one in an area or whatsoever. So if you run into the same issue in the same area again, probably see me in person. There's some golden rule at a university. Don't leave paper trail. So, critical situation. Just try to see me. If you see me running around in the department, just get in touch with me. If you see me having a cigarette in my outside office, just get in touch with me, right? If you want to get in touch with us via email, good luck. Sometimes you will get an answer. Probably in due time. I can't make any promises. As I said already, 4,500 students, a lot of emails, all the interested persons and whatsoever. It's sheer impossible to answer every single email in due time, right? So send an email, wait a bit, probably remind. If you don't get an answer by then, drop by in the consultation hours. That's the main reason why I offer open consultation hours, where you don't need an appointment. Just bring some time, be there, ask your question. And tell me if you send an email so I can actually close the ticket. Because otherwise, nah. All right. Even though you may have to register in one of the Moodle systems used or somewhere else, the most important part is always Toucan. Toucan. Because if you're not registered there, nah. Good luck in the next semester, right? On the other hand, you will most likely have to do both. Register in one of the Moodle systems and in Toucan. I'll explain that a bit more detail tomorrow as well. So some may have applied for more than one program, or are actually enrolled in more than one program, or are probably thinking about taking up another program later on. Multiple studies. Your decision. Interestingly, not that high number of graduates in more than one degree, because in most cases, people who graduate start working for a bit more hours per week, earning more money, losing interest, dropping out. It is essentially possible, though. Not that likely if you don't plan that from scratch on, probably, right? So, you can only register each course in one of the programs, but if it matches into, if it matches into one of the areas of your second degree, it can of course be transferred. There is no limit for the same. But on the other hand, you will apply for jobs later on, and every transferred credit is enlisted and visibly enlisted on your transcript. So if I would be someone in HR and I see two transcripts and essentially exactly the same courses on it, I would ask questions like, why is this department giving away degrees for free? And we actually learned that already. So we talk to people hiring our students. So our suggestion is go with a difference of roughly 30 to 60 ECTS credits. That's quite visible on the final transcripts, and you have a lot of arguments. You can actually tell them if you get asked why. Like, I conducted different labs. I took different language courses in one of the degrees, for example. I wanted to focus more on a specific sub-area of computer science and whatsoever. And you easily reach roughly 30 ECTS credits difference anyways then, right? So that's a possibility. If you want to get more information, just drop by my consultation hours. And of course, a subject has to fit, right? So it's not possible to take something in robotics, sheer robotics, and get it into the area of software security. Doesn't make sense, right? So it has to contextually fit somewhat. You have to request the transfer. For all things where it's your decision, we need a declaration of will from you, actually, to put it in your file, essentially. Welcome to the Bureaucratic Republic of Germany. We need something written and signed by hand, most likely for almost everything. So you have to request, I herewith want to request the transfer of credits from to list of all the courses, signature, matriculation numbers, and that's fine, right? Same as switching the specialization, same as switching the degree, and so on and so forth. You always have to tell us that you want to do that, most likely via a given form, or you have to create something on your own. If you have questions, just ask. So, imposed conditions, remedial coursework. Auflagen. Some of you may actually have gotten imposed conditions, remedial coursework to be done within 1 year and the topmost 2 attempts per subject. They have to be registered by the examination office, or can be registered if you can't find them on your own in Toucan, because you may have gotten Auflagen, imposed conditions, given in the previous semester. You can't register on your own in Toucan for them, and so on and so forth. Under very specific circumstances, the imposed conditions can be changed. 2 typical reasons. I don't like the content. I need some credits as imposed conditions, but I don't like the content. I want to switch to something else. Second one, I think you made a mistake. Because I think you forgot something. Possible. 3,000 applications per semester, all submitted in paper. 45 big crates of paper for master's admissions in our department. Roughly 50 people from the academic staff team and the students are working on the applications. So yes, it might have been a mistake, sure. But you can get that cross-checked again, right? So if in doubt that we were correct, or if you're completely convinced that we were incorrect, see us. Usually, I offer the same via the open consultation hours, but they didn't work out the last semesters at all. Way too many people dropping by with different questions. So, as I have a few days off next week, I will offer some extra consultation hours just for imposed conditions and remedial coursework. And hopefully we can answer any question directly, solve any issue directly, because some students actually waited for months for an answer for their emails. That's definitely not a good thing and shouldn't happen. Yet our capacity is limited, right? The week has only 168 hours. I want to sleep as well. So, most likely, because I still have to check for rooms available, on April 28th, April 30th, and May 8th, at the given time frames, there will be open consultation hours. The most important thing is bring a complete transcript of your previous degrees with you. If the course description handbook on your previous university or University of Applied Science is not available publicly, bring the same as well. Because we need to check the content of the courses, right? And probably prepare an argument why you think we were wrong. And then just drop by, see me, and try to convince me. It's not that hard. Everyone here in the lecture hall who knows me, it's not that hard to convince me. Anyhow, so keep that in mind. From the over next week on, there are a few specific consultations. Of course, you can get in touch with us later on as well, but this will be the fastest and easiest way to ask questions and solve questions around the imposed conditions. If you can't manage to pass all the potentially leftover imposed conditions, remedial coursework in due time, get in touch with us. There are a few possibilities to extend the period. We do have some rules, of course, specifically, of course, for example, if you got ill at the exam date for one and whatsoever, but we have to discuss that on individual basis. Right? So if you struggle with imposed conditions and you need some help, drop by. If you really struggle with imposed conditions and you won't manage to pass them in the given time frame, also drop by. If you're enrolled as a part-time student, the duration to pass the imposed conditions is doubled. Not the number of attempts, though. The benefit here is you can take the exams every time the course is actually given and held. That's essentially it. Not much outcome for part-time anyways in our department, because we don't have that much rules at all. And that's the reason for this slide. So what is essentially the benefit of enrolling in part-time studies if you fulfill the criteria anyway? Most students with a student visa are not allowed to work that much anyways. So there are a few reasons though. Employment, self-employment, disability, chronic diseases. If you participate in university committees, for example, as well. There's a service center for part-time studies, studying with children and so on. Look up the information on the website if you're interested and get in touch with Frau Pfeiffer. So the benefits, what are the benefits? Well, the duration for the imposed condition doubles and the duration for your thesis. Ta-da, that's it. Let's be honest, our only rule is one achievement every second year. So when it comes down to the department, probably no need to enroll in part-time studies, but it might help you for visa issues, probably, or insurance, health insurance issues, or whatsoever, right? So look up the outcome and the information on the websites, and if you're interested, get in touch with the service center. Introducing later this day a few more details about studying abroad. Just a short glance, let's say. It's very positive nowadays, specifically if you want to join research later on, probably becoming a professor, whatever. It's almost mandatory to have some abroad experience. Not necessarily studying abroad, though, right? But this experience is almost mandatory. But again, welcome to the bureaucratic Republic of Germany. There's quite a long lead time for a stay abroad, like 1 or 1.5 years. So essentially, if you apply in this November, because in November, the application period for all exchange possibilities is running, you can go abroad next year winter term or the summer term after, so essentially your last semesters. On the other hand, transferring credits into your degree is not a selection criteria for our department. So we do have a lot of students who go abroad after almost finalizing their degrees. For us, it's the cultural experience that's more important, right? Of course, you still, for the funding, probably need to conduct a few credits and whatsoever. But if you're interested in a stay abroad, definitely start preparing. Taking language courses, for example. Figuring out which possibilities are given and in which possibilities you're interested in. We will offer an event somewhat during the summer term, advertising the possibilities a bit more detailed. No fixed date yet, so have an eye on the websites. You can also try to conduct a thesis or part of the thesis remotely. There will be a period in May for the places who have not been used for the Erasmus Plus system in last November. So a few possibilities for next year's summer may still be given if you're interested, right? But not overseas, probably not the most interesting one for computer science students or whatsoever. Anyhow, if you have questions, we do, of course, also have consultation hours for exchange affairs. If you have any question, drop by, ask the Students' Council. I think that a few people in the Students' Council have been abroad as well, so they can also answer some of the questions, probably. If you have any questions in the meantime, just let me know, right? Yeah. Pardon once again. All right, the question was about the consultation hours, open consultation hours, no appointment required, it's walk-in hours actually, yet at the beginning, just take a seat. Just at the beginning of the semester, there's usually a big crowd gathering outside of my office. With the extra consultation hours for the immediate coursework, we want to probably reduce this issue a bit, but yeah, bring some time. Specifically in the first week of the semesters, right? If you need a specific appointment, you have to try to get in touch with us via email. At the moment, not much time left, but of course, if there's something, we can of course as well offer individual appointments or Zoom sessions as well, right? All right. So as I began with, almost every important information is stated somewhere. But where? Well, figure it out. The websites of the Student Advisory Service, the websites of the department, the websites of the respective study program, Discord servers, Toucan, via email, in one of the Moodle systems used, on the website of the different groups, for example, and so on and so forth. As part of my talk for the third and last attempt, potentially, there's a natural order of people you can rely on. don't rely too much on your fellow students. They tend to lie. Without bad will, actually. They just assume that they know something and tell you shit. That's just how it works. Because not necessarily is every rule applying for every study program in the same way, for example. And so on and so forth. So, essentially, you should, of course, trust your fellow students. But if there's only the slightest doubt, cross-check that on the websites. And if there's still doubt, see us. There are only very few people who can actually provide statements that are, actually fixed and reliable. So actually, if, for example, we student advisors tell you something wrong, we have to clarify the situation then afterwards and even manage to figure out how to manipulate TUCAN in a way that our statement is correct for you. Not the professors, not the secretaries, not any one of them, or the formal conditions of your degree and legal base and whatsoever. Study coordinator, examination office, student advisors, and probably the Dean of Student Affairs. That's it. Everyone else may be right, but not necessarily 100%. It's easy to look up everything. It's not that complicated. You all managed to get into a master's degree. So essentially, you will figure it out. I highly believe so. All right. Consultation hours. Examination office via phone, or general via phone, Monday to Thursday in the mornings usually. On Tuesdays between 9 AM and 12 PM, consultation hour in presence. On Wednesdays as well via Zoom. Information on exam-related topics like exam registration period, the Zoom link for the consultation hour of the examination office and whatsoever can be found on their website. Now something interesting. Student advisory service. Exchange affairs. That's the same consultation. Yes, it is. Because it's essentially the same team. And on the websites, you will find a distinction between student advisory, Wednesdays, and exchange affairs, Tuesdays. In reality, not so much. If you have questions, just drop by, right? All right, different email addresses though. And that really makes sense because the advisory email address, Beratung at, ticketing system, application at, advisory, handicap, and so on. Everyone addressing the same ticketing system. If you send an email to this email address, in no time, like in 1 or 2 hours, it's already on the second page of the ticketing system. After a week, you're out of my mind, completely, right? Way better if you have questions on mentoring, on exchange affairs, and whatsoever to use this specific functional email address. Definitely. All right, that's the end of my talk so far. Any questions I can be of help with? No. Okay. So the question, the question was, if I select like AI, for example, I'm probably not able, or am I not able to take some course from the other ones? No, not at all. You have to take, first of all, the individual specialization in order to get the minimum credits for all those 3 areas, right? Where you conduct courses in these 3 catalogs areas, it's your decision. So it's a completely arbitrary, random combination possible, almost. You just have to fulfill the minima criteria. Like minimum 6 credits, ECTS credits, in the 3 areas AI, complex network systems, and security and privacy. A minimum 6 in software and hardware, and a minimum 6 in theory. Besides, your decision, where to take courses. Sure. Sure. That's the reason why we named it individual specialization. Okay, the question is, I did some general education, Studium Generale courses during my previous study program. Can I transfer them? Okay, transfer of credits. It is not possible to transfer credits if they were used for the bachelor's degree, used for the admission to the master's. If it was a second bachelor's degree or a second master's degree, for example, sure, if it contentially fits, you can request a transfer and it will be transferred and added. If your bachelor's exceeded 180 ECTS credits, there are a few sub-rules. If, for example, there was a mandatory semester internship, industry internship, low credits can be transferred. Because essentially 180 ECTS contential competencies, we don't have any internships in our bachelor's, nor in the master's, nor accepting internships in industry, right? So that's one criteria, but if you have some extra credits from somewhere, additional courses, second degree, not used for the admission, whatever, sure, request the transfer of credits. Yeah, fair enough, sure. Yeah. For the transfer of credits, you need to request the same, declaration of will, it's your decision to transfer credits into an elective area. Send an email to the examination office, create your own request, copy of the transcript, copy of the transcript of the bachelor's degree used for the admission, because it could be enlisted both in the bachelor's and the master's degree. And if it's enlisted in the bachelor's, we're not allowed to transfer it, right? So just to check that, we need the bachelor's transcript again, because we're not keeping these massive amount of papers for the admission. We're just sending them back to the central facilities. So we don't have any document, most likely. So bachelor's transcript, the master's transcript, the request, and then you probably have to wait a bit for the answer, but yeah, sure, if it's contentially matching, it will be enlisted. There was a question and then you. It will be stated individual specialization, individuelle Vertiefung. There is no further outcome regardless where you focus in the German program. In the English taught program, you have to select one of the 3 contential specializations, and this is as well at exactly the same position of the final transcript, listed then with the actual name of a real specialization. So at the moment, no. If you can focus completely on AI, there is no specific name tagged on your transcript at the end or something. It's just then the high number of AI-related courses on your transcript. All right, the question is apparently from someone who joined later. Do I have to conduct mandatory courses? No, you just have to fulfill the criteria. We don't have mandatory specific subjects, mandatory courses in our master's degrees. So it's up to you. Probably, and that's another reason why you should probably select a bit more courses at the beginning. Gathering more information allows for a better judgment whether you actually bring the required competencies to follow the course in a good way with an okay-ish workload probably, right? It is usually manageable to follow courses where you don't have the defined prerequisites, but it will take more workload then, which reduces the overall number of courses in the same semester probably, right? Really, have an eye on your own progress, on your own selection, in order to get adjusted to our degrees in the system. That's the best tip you can get at the beginning. Okay, the question is, if you're enrolled in the German taught Master Informatik program, can't you conduct any course in robotics? Yes, they're included in software hardware. All our computer science courses, every single computer science course, elective, not the mandatory ones from the bachelor's, of course, is included in one of the areas. Because that's a generic rule in our department for the electives of the bachelor's and the master German taught. Every course has to be included from computer science. And the specializations, the specialization in the CS master or the specialized programs, is always a subset with the potential possibility that there are some courses from other departments included in the regular areas as well. Right? So that's essentially the big difference between the basic programs and specialized ones. Were 30 ECTS of your 210 ECTS bachelor's mandatory internship? Fair enough. In that case, it might be possible to transfer up to 30 ECTS credits into the masters. Bologna-Lissabon states bachelor's and masters together 300 ECTS credits. We need 180 ECTS credits as an equivalent to our bachelor's program. There's a difference of 30 ECTS credits if it's not an internship. Sure, if it potentially fits. We're not allowed to use courses as well we used for the admission, of course. Right? So, object-oriented programming paradigms, algorithm data structures, automata theory, whatsoever. No. More ongoing courses then. Sure. Any other question? A slow question, probably, because we still have half an hour left. Oh, wait, on the other hand, I can have a cigarette now. Ah, damn. Okay. No. Okay. RMU, Rhein-Main-Universitätsstudium, right? All right. So we do have a partnership with two other universities in the Rhine-Main area. University in Frankfurt and the University in Mainz. You can enroll for the same. And every course offered by them for the RMU can be taken, essentially. But it's their decision what to offer. And therefore, they should be able to advise you, for example. Happens from time to time. I can probably tell you a few courses that have been accepted in the past. Same as for any transfer of credit request or stay abroad as well. As soon as you have a course selection ready, steady, get in touch with us, ask, is it transferable at all? And if yes, into which area? And then follow the courses, and at the end you have to fetch a transcript from the other university and request the transfer of credits again. Dum, 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 dum. All right, no questions. There will be questions in the future. Believe me. But for now, thanks a lot. Thanks for your attention, and I wish you all the best and a good start. See you later, probably this day anyways. Oh, there's one question. No, your decision, your process. You have to identify the courses offered in each semester. You have to select them. You have to register for them and whatsoever. Right? There's not really a pre-given structure, or we're not forcing you to conduct a specific course or whatsoever. I will introduce how to register correctly tomorrow and choose the specialization in Tucan live demo. And then get in touch with your fellow students in order to discuss the first semester. Makes most sense. Because I finalized my studies in 2007. Not that many courses the same at the moment, right? But the fellow students know a bit more, specifically the ones Students' Council are conducting the bachelor's here, right? All right. And if you still have questions later on, just ask me, right? Later. All right. Okay, thanks again. Have a nice few hours. See you later then, most likely. Bye.
goodbye for now to the stream. We will resume the stream at 1:30, I believe. And for the others in the room, please just take a moment. I'd like to